your, as I was saying a minute ago, your changeability. Whether you are sat at a chair or whether you are sat on the floor, I am still expecting you to act and behave like you would in a normal assembly. So I'm still expecting a quality audience. I'm still expecting you to respect each other if somebody's got their hand up. I'm still expecting you to listen to whoever is talking. So let's have a little look and see what we're talking about in this debate assembly this week. Let's see if Miss Slade's little click is going to work for me. So this is our debate topic. There's lots of information on here, but the debate topic that we're exploring this morning is, should you always try to win? So that's the main topic, the main question that we're exploring. And then there's a few pictures here. This is of Good Morning Britain, so we've got some TV presenters, and then a couple of athletes. And those of you that can see the board, it says at the bottom, true show of sportsmanship. Spanish triathlete steps aside for British rival who made the wrong turn. So that's what we're learning about, that's what we're looking at. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it here. Now, this is from the news story that this week there was the Santander, which is the sponsor, so you might have heard of Santander, that's the bank. The Santander triathlon was held. So first of all, does anyone know what is a triathlon? So use your kind of Latin and your knowledge of words. Have a chat with the person next to you. Do you know what a triathlon is?
Running. Triathlon is running, cycling. Running, cycling. Swimming, cycling. Did you copy me?
Okay, 5, 4, 3,
I know it.
2, 1, and 0. Quality audience, eyes back this way. Barney, could you start us off? Everyone else listen, because you might be able to add using some sentence starters.
A race.
It absolutely is a race.
When you run it.
There is running involved, but it's a triathlon.
And
So
isn't there more than one sport in it?
that's an excellent start. Thank you, Barney. Can anyone add on to that? Add a bit more about what they understand to be a try. 1, 2, 3. Jack, can you add anything else?
So building on Barney's point, it's a race, and I think the other sports that you do in it is swimming and cycling.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. So you start off, hands down, back to the quality audience please. So you start off, this is absolutely an epic event. So this isn't just doing 100, and I'm not trying to say that you're not a good athlete if you do a 100-metre sprint, because obviously they train really hard too, but this one is really about stamina. The athletes start off in the water and they swim a length. I'm not exactly sure how far, but they swim a great length in the water. Immediately, they are in their dripping clothes. They get out of the water, jump onto a bike, and then cycle a distance. Then they don't even get changed. They're dripping wet, get on the bike, and then at the very, very end, they run. So if you've ever heard of the Ironman, not Ironman like Marvel Iron Man, but Ironman as in an Ironman event, it's that, but they run even longer. So at the end, they run a marathon, so it's even harder. So this event was held. It's actually held lots of times throughout the year. Even in the Olympics, they have a triathlon. And there's two very, very famous British brothers called the Brownlee brothers, and they won gold medals and I think a gold and bronze medal in the last Olympics. So, but within this race, everybody, this week, something a little bit strange happened. So, this man here has been in the news, this Spanish athlete, because he was actually in second place, but something happened, and this man was originally in first place and he was in second place. Something happened, and then he became in the lead, but he didn't feel right about being in the lead, so he stepped aside, stopped his running race, and let the British athlete overtake him. So I wonder if you can have a think, don't worry if you're not right, but can you think of any reasons as to why the Spanish man might have stepped aside and said, you know what, you can win, you can go in front of me. Have a little think of any reasons that you might think that reasons behind why that might have happened.
She cheated.
think that the Spanish guy had very cheesy.
Okay, no, be careful.
And 0. Quality audience, please everybody back together. Let's have some hands up. It's just people at the front of the room, even people at the back throughout the whole room, please. Let's have everybody having a think. There's no right or wrong answer. Has anyone got any idea? Well, there is a right answer, but at this point there is no right or wrong answer. Why do you reckon this Spanish man may have stepped aside? For what possible reason would he have to do that? Daisy, start us off, please.
Being a good sportsman.
Right, so I think there is absolutely an element of him being a good sportsman.
Team.
Part of the team, maybe? Yeah. Any other ideas? Yes, Darling, on the floor. Yep. So maybe he felt bad about cheating. That's a really interesting idea. And he actually felt inside a little bit guilty and thought, actually, you know, something's happened, I'll step aside. Perhaps. Matthew, can you add on to any of those answers?
Maybe the Spanish guy had cheesy feet and the British guy asked him if he can go in front to stop smelling his horrible cheesy feet.
Maybe. Yes, sweetie. Yep. Molly.
Maybe he felt really bad because he probably won loads of races in the past,
Okay.
but the British guy might have raced with him.
Sure.
But he second place, so
Okay.
he probably stepped the person past.
Yeah, maybe he felt like it was his time, perhaps,
Yeah.
something like that. Okay, let's see what we've got. Hands down just for a second, because I bet some of you've really touched upon some parts that actually is very, very close to what happened. I've got the slide here. So what happened is, this is the events in that Santander Triathlon. So the first thing that happened was the British athlete, his name is James Teagle, he was on course to win 3rd place. Oh, sorry, so I got my numbers a little bit mixed up, but he was in course to win 3rd place, but he made a mistake metres away from the line. And what that mistake was, is only 100 metres, so really, really close to the finish line, James missed some of the signs and he mistakenly ran towards spectators. So he was running along, he thought he was going to get 3rd place, he thought he was going to get that bronze medal. He sees the finish line, and the finish line is really only about from, say, here to the hall. He's nearly there, but he just takes a wrong turn by accident and ends up in with all the spectators. Now, Diego sees what's happened. He's in 4th place and he overtakes him and goes into 3rd place. But then Dietro, he stops just before the finish line, and then he says, come on, James, you deserve 3rd place. You would have got 3rd place if you just wouldn't have made that mistake, was going down the wrong path by accident. So he stops, he allows him to come into 3rd place, and he gets the 3rd place, he gets the bronze medal. And Diego actually says, he was in front of me the whole time. He deserved it. Now what he could have done is thought, ha 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 ha, loser, you've taken the wrong route. You've gone down there, you idiot. What are you doing going down there? Yes, I'm going to get 3rd place. But he didn't. Inside him, he thought that would be the wrong thing to do. And the right thing to do would be to step aside and say, no, you deserve it. You go. But that actually took a real big bit of courage and a real bit of real kind of determination within him to think, yeah, you know what, you deserve that bronze medal. Because this man, Dietro, has been working for the bronze medal the whole of his career as well. I've got a video of it so you can actually see it in action here. And as you're watching this, just going to have to quickly save it because it's gone. As you're watching this, everybody, I wonder if you can think, if you were in that position, what would you do? So if you were in a similar position, would you take the same decision?
If this isn't a sign of good sportsmanship, I don't know what is. Spanish triathlete Diego Mentriga noticed that British triathlete James Teagle went the wrong way before the finish line of the Santander Triathlon. Mentriga waited for him so he could take what he says is deserved third place. He said on Twitter, "He was in front of me the whole time. He deserved it." I think the funniest or the wackiest part about this whole video is that James, well, you don't know which one he is, because to me, even after the race, he still looks totally lost. But again, Diego, good on you, man. That is true sportsmanship at its finest, and I give Diego Mentriga full props. This is what sports is supposed to be like. Just like in soccer, when they foul somebody or they help them back up, or you can tell when things are like good sportsmanship and not good sportsmanship. But this one, I think, takes the cake. This is a true warrior, a true champ. I would give this guy a medal just for being a good sportsmanship. Let's go on.
So that's a really good term that the narrator on the video there used. True sportsmanship. And I wonder if we would have the courage to be able to do that ourselves. So have a think, what would you have done in a similar situation? Would you have let the other runner pass you, step aside and let him take third place? What do you think? Have a little chat, see if you think you would have the courage to do that.
What are you going to say? Would you say your opinion?
Okay, you guys, let's come back together. I wonder. Oh, I need equality audience. That means eyes this way. Thank you. Let's take a little vote then. So your choices are, in a minute I'll ask you to vote. And just be commit to what you think. So don't think that you have to say, oh, I definitely would do it, if you think, you know what, actually I wouldn't. So you can say either, yes, I would have stepped aside, or, you know what, I probably would have just carried on going and got that bronze medal. So who says, yeah, I would have done the same, I would have stepped aside? If that's you, cast your vote now. Okay. And who says, you know what, it's his mistake, I would have gone into third place. I would have just taken the... Okay, interesting. I wonder, let's hear a couple of opposing viewpoints then. Anybody who said, no, that was, I would not have taken advantage of the situation, I would have stepped aside. Anybody that said that, would you like to explain your reason? So somebody who voted in the first one. Same hands up time after time this morning. Some people must be getting an achy arm, year 5. Anybody different? Yes, sweetie. See if you can persuade the people that said that they would have crossed the line.
I would step aside because I respect the people like that. Mistakes happen. Everyone makes mistakes. And it's always like that.
Yeah, mistakes do happen, and maybe we shouldn't be making a gain out of someone else's mistake. Anybody want to add on to that answer? Anything extra to add?
I think that I would let them free, because it's just not being very nice to the person, because if you're not very nice to people, you're not going to be their friend, so I would let them pass.
Okay, so that kind of treat others as you would want to be treated type situation. Yes, at the back? Stand up, sweetie, so we can all hear your answer.
If you like don't learn in class and then everyone starts calling you, so that will make them feel bad. Like you won't like it when someone feels bad. You feel guilty and stuff.
You want to be respected for the right reasons, I suppose. Okay, what about the flip side then? Anyone that said, I would have been there and I would have got my bronze badge and I wouldn't have even felt bad about it. Who can persuade us for your reasons behind that? So people that would have not stepped aside, people that would have carried on going. Jasper, what's your possible reasons for this? Let's have a quality audience respecting everybody, thank you. Jasper, please don't even think about speaking until everybody's still and ready.
I think I probably would have not stepped aside because I've probably been working like a lot of my life trying to get towards medals, and honestly if he made a mistake, that's his mistake, and he can do it again and train more.
Yeah, so maybe it was his mistake, he should have been more careful, he should have been looking out more, okay? Yes, Mark?
I know you should be friendly to everyone, but really, it's a race. It's race to the top. If you don't get a badge, you don't get a badge.
Nice guys finish last, you're saying there, Mark?
Yeah. You lose, live with your mistakes, you'll do it next time.
Sure.
Don't try and be like, oh, I feel bad for you. You should really earn this. No, he shouldn't. He made a mistake. It's not yours. No, it's not your mistake. It's his mistake.
Sure, so he has to, everyone makes choices. Wow. Yeah. Let's come back together, you guys. I'll just remind you, Year 5, of the rules of debate assembly. We can't be talking over each other. Although Mark may have made a very powerful and passionate point, we need to unpick it and think about it, okay? So we need to respect everyone's viewpoints. I can see what you're saying, Mark. How can the British athlete learn if everybody's just giving him an easy ride? Oh, you made a mistake, it's okay. He might make that mistake again and again and again. He's a professional athlete. Maybe he should be having his eyes open and really carefully learning the course. Some people may argue. Very interesting. Last point for now. Yes, please.
I think I don't really feel bad about it, and said I don't really care. Bashing getting that is actually really harsh. That's me.
Well, I respect your honesty is what I would say for that one. Absolutely. Okay, Year 5, let's move on. So, I wonder, this is really part of a bigger question about times when we do, it's part of our natural life, isn't it? When we're playing games, when we're playing sports, when we're part of a team, there are times that we're going to win and there are going to be times that you lose. I wonder if you think about a time when you've won or done really well in something and the feelings that makes you feel inside, and then also about a time when you maybe didn't do so well and how different does that feel. So thinking about those emotions, those feelings inside us of real joy and pride when we've won versus the disappointment. Can you think of a time? Can you explain how that felt to you? Give you a minute or so to talk to the person nearest to you.
That's what I could have 4 years. On Ludo, I always used to get separation when my dad was always expecting me back
Talk about it in class, kids.
Come back together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Who can I see that's showing they are ready. It's really strange in these circumstances. Often the people that are showing me quality audience are the people that have those bronze lanyards around their necks. Only a couple of days more and more of you will be receiving those. So let's see who's showing me those excellent choices. Can anyone reflect and think about a time that they maybe have won at something and how that made them feel, or on the opposite, conversely, about a time that they lost at something and how that made them feel? Ruby, could you start us off, please?
I remember that when
Turn around, Ruby, and then you can face everybody.
I remember that when I did a triathlon with Miss Esbrook, I came first, and it was a pretty far one, and I felt really happy and like I've achieved something that I've never really achieved. And the time that I haven't won, I still felt happy because I still think I achieved something, and I came somewhere. I did place somewhere, and some other people won instead of me. So
I think, Ruby, that's a really grown-up way of thinking about it, because for some people, it is almost like the end of the world when they lose. Some people, different people cope with losing in different ways. Some people say, I tried my best, I did the best I could, and it's fine. Whereas some people, if they lose, it really, really affects them, and it takes them a really long time to get over that. And that's just something, it's part of life, winning and losing, so it's something that people just have to work on and get better at. Yes?
Once I took part in this art contest where you have to like sculpt things out of like clay and paper, and you have to make things to make this like small clip video, and I won some of it, and I felt really proud of myself because I didn't think I had any chance of winning it.
Yeah, good. I think that this is quite an interesting part here. Is trying to win the same as trying our best? So I think it depends partly, and what I'm hearing a little bit in here, it's all about how much effort you put in. If you only put a little bit of effort in and give it what we might, can I just have a quality audience please, just hands down and just listen, because this is quite important for us to understand. If you're trying to win and you put in, a bit like Jasper was saying earlier, if you put in every single bit of effort in your whole body, a triathlete may be training for years to get to that point. If you put absolutely everything in, hours getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, running in the rain, swimming in the winter, and despite you've put everything in that you can, you lose, that may be harder to deal with than somebody that just gives it a little bit of a go and only puts 50% effort in. So maybe it's related. The amount of effort you put in makes it even harder to deal with if you do lose. If you don't put your best into something and you lose, it probably isn't that much of a big deal. But we are really hoping that everybody would put their full best into everything that they do. So should we always try and win? Well, I suppose it depends what sort of a person you are and whether you do, balls at the front, whether you always do try your best. Because it's surely better to try your best and face that sometimes you will lose. Earlier, Jensen said to me, I've never lost at anything. But I don't think you could go through the whole of your life never ever losing, even if you've been fortunate enough to get to this position in your life and not lost. At some point, you are going to lose. In some schools, they have failure weeks. And people might think, oh my goodness, that sounds a bit serious, failure week. But failure week is a whole week where all the children in the school learn about failing, learn about not winning, learning about coming last, but then learn how to cope with that, because it's okay to come last, as long as you've got a plan for where you go from there. So I think that's really, really an important thing for us to think about. So, hopefully this picture shows a little bit about what we've been talking about. That teamwork, that sportsmanship, that going around and saying to everyone, good game, well done, thank you for playing, you tried your best. So it's important for us to understand that we cannot be the winner at everything all the time. Even if you have put 100% effort in, sometimes you will lose and you may even come last. Some of the time we have to be content, so inside us we have to feel okay and accept that we did our best but we still lost. And that is a really grown-up thing. That's a really advanced thing to be able to feel and to be able to cope with, because sometimes you'll even see grown-ups who can't cope with losing, who can't cope with coming last. So if you can begin to make peace with the fact that as long as you try your best, it's okay to not win, that's a really, really exceptional skill to have. And even better than that is to then show sportsmanship to others. So, should you always try to win, was the question we were looking at this morning, Year 5. And perhaps we could conclude by saying it's okay to try to win, but as long as you know that you've tried your best, I think is perhaps where we could make peace with that. As an additional thing, if you can, what I'd like you to have a look at, Year 5, if you remember at the beginning when we were talking about the triathletes, a triathlon and triathletes, I told you about the Brownlee brothers. So there's two brothers, the Brownlee brothers, who took part in triathlons at the Olympics. I wonder if anyone could go away and research and give me a fact about some sportsmanship between those Brownlee brothers. Two brothers taking part in the same triathlon, and something happened that showed brotherhood and sportsmanship. And I wonder if anyone could go away, find out what that was, and then let me know. Come back to me, find me tomorrow in the next couple of days and see if you can find out anything about the Brownlee brothers as a little bit of extension work. Okay, Year 5? Right, let me see. I'd say, okay, Lindsay.